Yeah.
First and foremost, live shows.
Yeah, we are not far. We're prepped.
4 different live shows.
Yep.
For now,
Not the first time I've said this. I said it a few times when I was captain as well of Australia, but I was a little bit confused about the Duckworth-Lewis system. I think that's Virat Kohli's first duck in one-day cricket in Australia ever.
really,
So not the place to start. I wish Hardik was still playing Test cricket. I just think he's the genuine bowling all-rounder. They're trying to complement both at the moment, but there's no doubt the priority is the Ashes. At the moment, Marnus Labuschagne is the front runner.
to open.
Anywhere. If there's one spot available, Marnus can bat him.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to Beyond 23. Michael Clarke alongside me. My name is Erin Holland, chatting through all things in the universe of cricket, as we do, as is our want. Clarky, I tell you what, at the moment, I'm glad we've got a couple of eps this week because there is just so much happening at the moment. But first and foremost, live shows.
Yeah, we are not far. We're prepped.
Are we prepped?
We're ready to. We're as prepped as
We're
we.
excited.
You know what? Sometimes I think we're better with the less preparation. When it comes to live podcasts, I think the rawer, the better. Ask the question, find the answer, don't know the answer, make up an answer. Somebody will advise us we're wrong, and
Well, that's
we'll laugh.
exactly right. This is content you're only going to get if you do come along to the live shows. We're not going to be recording them. You have to be there to see it in the flesh, to hear what comes out of his mouth. It's going to be great, and you've got some wonderful guests too, which I think we're keeping close to.
Look, I think we've got some expertise. We've got some past greats of the game. Australia versus England, there's always sledging, always banter. So there might even be an Englishman involved, which I like. And then a few of my friends are going to show face as well. So, look, it will be entertaining. The other thing I do want to do, the other thing that is important and something I've always cared about, we will be trying to make some money for charity. I think that's very important at every live show. And we'll have some prizes as well for people that turn up, some giveaways, which I think everyone loves.
You raided your closet, have you? Some
I
Clarke kit?
found a few things. So yeah, look, I think it'll be very entertaining and a lot of fun. So hopefully people turn out.
A lot of Ashes stories as well that maybe aren't fit to be recorded in a video format. So you have to jump along, come and join us. We've got live shows, 4 different live shows for now. But depending on how well this goes, you never know. More shows could be added. We've got Sydney, we've got Brisbane, we've got Adelaide, and back to Sydney as well for the New Year's test. So jump online, get those tickets. They come out this week. Very, very, very exciting. And, you know, speaking of exciting, the men's international summer of cricket did start last night. We were over west at Optus Stadium, Australia taking on India. And rain won. I tell you what, I didn't think it rained that much in Perth.
Yeah, very rarely does it.
I've never seen a game like that. On, off. So hard to get any consistency within either of those sides. But Aussies did cruise to a 7-wicket win over India in a very shortened ODI.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
First impressions.
Rain is frustrating for all involved. I think generally in short form cricket, there is definitely an advantage to chasing when rain plays a part. Both captains wanted to bowl first. Australia wins the toss. Mitch Marsh wins the toss and gets his way. India were rusty. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. They only arrived in Australia 3 days ago. A couple of training sessions. I think the extra bounce, the tackiness in the wickets, 3 for not many in the power play. You're always under the pump. Hard to come back from that. So credit to the Aussie bowlers. Australia went with certainly 2 of their most experienced bowlers in Hazlewood and Stark. They both look fit and fresh. They were on the money straight away. So put India under pressure. And Aussies really dominated from ball one. Again, I think I was a little confused. Not the first time I've said this. I said it a few times when I was captain as well of Australia. But I was a little bit confused about the Duckworth-Lewis system. How India, I found, were at a disadvantage batting first and overs being reduced after the game had already started.
Yeah, so 136 for 9 in just 26 overs.
Yes.
We all know that if you know you've got to bat the 50 overs, the intent and the way you attack an innings completely changes if you think you're only going to be batting half of those overs, right?
But then not only is there a disadvantage in batting first, thinking it's a 50-over game and then it's a 26-over game, but then at the end of the innings, that run's taken off their score. If anything, I thought they would have had more runs put on the score because for the first however many overs, they were expecting to bat for 50. So, look, I think Duckworth-Lewis favoured Australia or favoured the team chasing on this occasion. But, yeah, it was a little bit slow in regards to entertaining cricket that we would have liked for first game of the summer. But from Australia's perspective, Mitchell Marsh again leads the way. Another game as captain, another win for Australia, more runs on the board, doing himself plenty of favours in case there's an injury through that middle order for Australia in the test matches as well. Stark and Hazlewood, very positive to see those two come in and be fresh and ready to rock. Josh Philippe as well gets an opportunity to...
He was brilliant behind the stumps.
To wicket keep, kept beautifully and batted beautifully. So again, you got Alex Carey, Josh Inglis, Philippe as well. We got so much talent when it comes to that keeper batsman role. I think that's exciting for Australia as well. But Australia they look very good, and India are going to have to make some quick improvements. Yeah,
absolutely. And India, a rusty return to Australia, not the way that Rohit and Virat would have wanted to start potentially their last summer in Australia. But
I think, and I could be wrong, I think that's Virat Kohli's first duck in one-day cricket in Australia ever.
Really?
So not the place to start.
No.
What looks like it's going to be his last tour to Australia. So he'll be disappointed.
And I thought I saw some real emotion on his face. As I'm so sure there would have been. National anthems were playing. They're panning through the lines, and there's just this maybe this pensive look, this moment of taking it all in. And as we said, he's like the GOAT when it comes to this format of the game. He's your favourite player of all time in this format.
Yep.
You said last episode.
Yep.
Scratchy six-ball duck, is that just a jet lag thing, a reassessing to conditions thing?
I think it's also, like, he hasn't played for a long time now. So even though he looks as fit as ever, I'm sure he was batting fine in the nets. It just playing games is different. Like that muscle memory of just game after game after game, which he's done for 15 years, but to then have 6 months off without playing and then walk back into very, very foreign conditions in regards to if his first game back was in India, I think he's straight back into it. But because he's in Australia, like the shot he played in India, he cover drives that for 4. It hits him a bit higher on the bats. He's out in front of himself, outside edge, good catch at backward point. But yeah, very different conditions. So I think that probably sums up, Rohit got a decent ball, extra bounce as well, hits high on the bat. He couldn't do much with it. But again, in India, that doesn't happen. You don't get that extra bounce. So I think certainly their top 3, their captain Shubman Gill, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, for those guys to get out like that, who all have experience, sort of sums up the way they played throughout the whole night. The bowlers trying to get their length right, some run-outs, like mix-ups when batting. I just think there was underdone.
Lack of coherency within the side as well, that discipline between the wickets, the communication.
Well, but I think this is what you hear a lot of past players, and Ian Botham has come out recently and said this about England. But for the lead up to the Ashes series, he thinks they're going to be undercooked, playing no Shield game or no first-class games in the lead up. So I think the other thing as well, coming to Australia is different to any other country, but going to Western Australia first is a significant difference. And what I mean by that is the extra bounce in Western Australia. I know you're not playing at the Wacker like has always been spoken about, but Optus Stadium, the pitch is very similar to the Wacker. It's got extra bounce than what you get in Sydney or Melbourne. There's always sideways movement. So even in a one-day game, there was some seam, there was some extra bounce. So in preparation for the first test, it's a hard place to go and play as your first game in our country.
And from India's perspective as well, a lot of spin bowling all-rounders within the side. They probably missed someone like Hardik Pandya, didn't they? An extra pace option, looking through that lineup.
Well, first and foremost, they missed Bumrah.
Yes, well.
So you had someone of Bumrah's class who can bowl 145 Ks on that pitch. Oh. I still don't think they made enough runs. Yeah. But if you got Bumrah in that attack, it's a very different attack. But I agree. I think Hardik is I wish Hardik was still playing Test cricket. I just think he's the genuine bowling all-rounder. So I think his bowling, if he's fully fit, is so important to India's team, whether it's T20 one day or if you're still playing Test cricket. So yeah, he was significantly missed last night in their attack, power hitting through the middle, his attitude as well. That take on the Australian attitude You know, he's always played that brand of cricket. So, yeah, I think him and Bumrah particularly were really missed last night.
And we had Nitish Kumar Reddy making his debut. A couple of Aussies making their debut as well.
Yeah.
Matt Renshaw and Mitch Owen. Ren is really batting out of place, batting at 5, which I thought was quite low for him. And I'm just wondering your thoughts on talking about this potential opening partnership in the Ashes. Matt Renshaw's name's been thrown around a lot as a potential opening position as well. When you get Alex Carey sent back to Shield cricket in order to get Ashes ready, but then they're giving Renners the opportunity to debut in a new format, do you think that kind of shows where the selectors' minds are sitting heading in, or is any opportunity in Australian colours a positive one?
I think Renshaw and Carey are probably in two very different situations and positions. I think if you get the chance to play for Australia in any format, that's you want to make the most of that. So I think Matt Renshaw would prefer to be in that Australian one-day team than playing Shield cricket. I think Alex is 100%, you know, in the starting 11 for the first test. So they've probably worked out. They've probably gone to Alex as well because he's an experienced player now. What is your best preparation for the Ashes? And I think Mitch Marsh mentioned that as well at the toss last night, that they're trying to complement both at the moment, but there's no doubt the priority is the Ashes. Yep. So even in and around Stark and Hazlewood, there would have been some planning in preparation for, I think Starkey said he hasn't played a one-day game for 12 months. So they've probably thought, you know what, let's give them a couple of one-day games because the most amount of overs you can bowl is 10.
Yeah, that's
in
true.
Preparation before, I'd imagine they'll still play a Shield game before the first test. So I think what the selectors try and do with big series like this is look at, certainly if they've got 10 or 9 out of the 11 locked in, they'll work out what is their best individual preparation to have them firing for the first test match. And that's the advantage of, you know, playing cricket in the lead up to a series like the Ashes in your own backyard. You're playing in your own conditions, you're getting your body ready, I guess your body's getting used to the conditions, the heat, the humidity, back in the Australian conditions, which is so important. And I think that could have a huge advantage leading into the first test against England in Perth. So, really, I think we're talking about one spot.
Well, let's talk about it
because
Mitch Marsh again was brilliant and very measured innings for him. Player of the match performance by the captain. He showed a lot of maturity at the top. It could have been very easy to just go, you know what, let's finish this in 10, 15 overs. But, you know, they got the ball to talk early and he did survive. We keep saying, you know, Ashes talk, and I'm loving his responses in the media, just saying like, oh, I bought tickets for
smart,
day 1 and 2 and haven't asked my wife yet.
Mitch is an absolute beauty of a fella. He's a great guy. So he's not saying that lying. Mitch is so chilled and laid back. But it's smart by him. He's taking all the pressure off himself. He's like, I'm just here making runs in the one days and I've booked to go and watch the boys play the first test.
And right? What will be, the selectors will do what they will do. 100%. But given these performances that he's consistently putting on the board now, in the T20 format, now in ODI format, showing that maturity and that temperament can be suited to top of the order, where do you actually think the selectors' heads are at? Is he more in the conversation than perhaps what we might think?
There's got to be a spot for him. You can make 500s in a row, but if there's no spot, if your batting position's number 4, you're not getting in because Steve Smith's batting at 4. So I think it really depends on, is there a position available? At the moment, he's making runs. But I don't think because he's making runs, okay, go and open the batting in the first test. I don't see Mitch Marsh as an opening batter in Test cricket. I think that'd be a mistake by the selectors. Even if he scored the most amount of runs, when they look at a list of who's made the most runs in the last 12 months, playing one-day cricket and 2020 cricket is very different to Test cricket, particularly in Australia. You're coming up against a good England attack, assuming everyone's fit as well. So I think we've seen that in the past. I think selectors have picked certain players based on, you know, if they're making runs in a certain format, but then you go into Test cricket and it's very different. I think Finchie found out the hard way as well. When they selected Aaron Finch, put him at the top of the order, he was in form in one-day cricket, very different opening batting in a Test match. So the main conversation at the moment, who's opening the batting with Usman Khawaja, the advantage we have is you don't need to pick it now. And that's where the selectors are being smart, and Pat Cummins is being smart. They're saying, we don't know, haven't thought about it, not sure.
Yeah.
Because they're waiting. They're waiting to see how form plays out. They're waiting to see, does Sam turn things around and go and make 200s in a row? So I think that's smart, even though it's the topic of conversation and we're all got our opinions. If I'm the Australian captain at this stage, I'm happy for people like us to sit here and have our opinion, but I'm keeping my cards close to my chest until I need to pick my starting 11 and pick my batting order. So at the moment, Marnus Labuschagne is the front runner.
To open.
Anywhere. If there's one spot available, Marnus can bat in it.
Well,
if
he's
you can
making
bat number
bulk
3,
runs.
if you can bat number 3 for Australia, you can open the batting for Australia.
Well,
Justin Langer was the greatest example. He started at number 3.
Well, sometimes you do open the batting. Someone gets a peach first ball,
exactly right.
and all of a sudden you're as good as opening.
I think, look, the conversation is who's going to open the batting, and I think that will come down to whoever's making runs at the time. And I hope runs on the board is the way the selectors go. If some guy's made 300s in 4 innings or 400s in 5 innings, mate, if you don't pick him, what's Shield cricket there for? Why do we say go back to your state and score runs if you're not going to pay that respect? So I think at the moment, Marnus is in the 11. Yeah. Where he bats will be dictated by do they keep Cameron Green at number 3? Can Cameron Green bowl? There's talk about how fit is he bowling wise. Yeah. What do they do with Beau Webster? Is Beau Webster able to bowl? If he's not able to bowl, I don't think he's in the starting 11. If he's bowling, then I think he's done well at number 6. I think he's earned that spot if he's batting and bowling. So it's going to be interesting to see which way they go.
So Marnus, Aussie,
Green, if there's only one spot available, if Cam Green's fit and he stays at 3 and Beau Webster's fit and he stays at 6, you got Smith and Head at 4 and 5. There's only one selection spot available. You have to pick Marnus. I would be picking Marnus. I saw Haydos come out and said he doesn't think Marnus should open the batting. Right now, mate, I think you can bat Marnus anywhere you want and he'll make runs. He's back in form. Yes, he's worked on some technical things, but most importantly, he's back in form. So he's confident. Walking out to bat for Australia now would be very different to him walking out to bat 6 months ago when he had no runs under his belt. He'd missed out a few times. There was talk about him getting dropped for 3 or 4 months. Yeah. It's just, that's what confidence does. So ideally, in a dream come true for me, I think Marnus has been a very, very good number 3. I think him and Steve Smith batting at 3 and 4 is our strongest batting lineup. But they made that decision when they put Cameron Green to 3. You know, the selectors and Paddy as captain and the Australian team, they need to, you know, I think they missed a trick with Sam Konstas not getting the chance to open the batting in Sri Lanka.
This would be a different story had he continued on that good form, obviously, from Boxing Day onwards last year. Scored some runs. Yeah. We wouldn't be questioning whether or not he was the incumbent. But because of that, we now have all of these doubts. He's not making runs in Shield cricket.
That's also part of what comes with playing at the highest level. Like when you can only pick 11 players and then you got state cricket and club cricket and junior cricket, everyone wants your spot. Yeah. So if you're not making runs, that's the best part about our game. You know somebody else will take your spot. So when you're underneath those people, you fight your hardest to put consistent runs on the board as a batsman to try and take their spot. When you're there and you fail, you know, if you miss out, you're going to get dropped, or you miss out for long enough, you're going to get dropped. So, look, I think ideally, I heard Huss's comments as well around a couple of years in Shield cricket would do Sam the world of good. I can see where Huss is coming from, and I don't disagree with that one bit. But if you're good enough at 18 or you're good enough at 35, my opinion is, pick that person, give them an opportunity. It's hard to learn your game at the highest level because you got scrutiny from every single angle 24/7.
There's so much footage now too, isn't there? They've got your number on you just by watching all the vision that there is available.
Yeah, you know, like everyone's got a weakness. Yeah. So opposition teams will be studying every single batter and you'll get found out. There's nowhere to hide at the highest level. But I think the selectors, like I say, have got to work out what they feel is the best 11 to win the first test match and go with that. But it seems to me there's a number of people being spoken about, so we got options. Yeah. I do think opening the batting in Test cricket is a specialist position. I've said that for a long time. I said that when when they went with Smitty to open the batting, if anybody was going to be able to adjust to it, it's Steve Smith. And he didn't do as well as he would have liked. You know, I think he still got a 90-odd or average 40, whatever he did, but it wasn't consistent runs like we're used to. So let's not make the same mistake again. Let's look at a specialist opener. Let's look at who's in form. But if you're not going to go that way, the best person to open the batting would be the dude that's in form and someone that's batted 3 for a long period of time for Australia before in Marnus.
Well, let's just double down on that for a second because I find it really interesting. As you say, one of the best batters that we've had in such a long time, Steve Smith, as good as he is, couldn't adjust to what it took to be an opening batter in the time frame that he was given. What are the qualities that you are looking for in your opening batters that you think is just so specific to that role?
You're facing a brand new, generally the hardest time to bat in Test cricket is opening the batting. So we always talk about that first hour is normally where if there's any moisture, any seam movement, any swing, the ball's brand new, in Australian conditions particularly, because you go somewhere like India, the best time the bat's to open. The ball's rock hard, you got swing for 1 or 2 overs, doesn't seam, and you're facing quicks instead of spinners. So, but in Australia, it's the hardest time to bat. The sun's on the wicket in an hour's time. It's like a different pitch. The ball after 15 or 20 overs, the shine's gone off the ball or the lacquer's gone off the ball. Much better, much easier to bat. Your technique needs to be as sound as anywhere in the batting order as number 1 and number 2. So what I mean by that is your shot selection, your movement into the line of the ball if the ball's moving away, your decision-making around what do I play, what do I leave. The self-confidence needs to be, it needs to be as high as it needs to be to know that you can take on that opening bowler when conditions probably favour him more than favour you. Reading of the game, knowing how patient you need to be. Okay, we're getting close to drinks, we're getting close to lunch. Do I need to pull back? Do I need to go hard? Like it's a very specialised position. And even that doesn't mean you can't play aggressive. And I think that's what England showed against India recently. Their attitude is to put the pressure back on the bowler. Fine. But it's time and place. It's how you do that. It's what bowler you do that. And I think, Davey Warner was a good example of that. Davey's technique wasn't perfect, but he learnt how he could play in the first 10 overs of a test match versus the next 80 overs of the day's play. He learnt that at test cricket, and he was very skillful, very talented. And that's the challenge as well, working out your strengths, your weaknesses. Is it a time to survive? Is it a time to put pressure back on the bowler?
And is that what Mike Hussey means, obviously, by Konstas going back to Shield cricket, learning more about his game at only 20 years of age? He barely played any Shield cricket, not to any fault of his own, just from being so young. But, you were so young when you debuted as well. You think you were 23, so you had a few years on him, but, still incredibly young. How much of it is a mental stamina and a mental stability that needs to improve? Because we know technically he's got all the shots in the book.
Well, I think there's some areas technically he needs to work on. Certainly if he's going to open the batting when the ball's going to move. I think he takes his foot to the line of the ball rather than his bat to the line of the ball. I think the ball seams back. He's under pressure for LBW all the time. I think what we're seeing at the moment is how he's scoring runs at the highest level against the best bowlers. It's not sustainable. So what I mean by that, certain shots, the reverse ramp, the ramp, coming down the wicket, taking on a big pull shot. When you have your day, it's amazing, don't get me wrong, but to sustain average 45 plus at Test cricket against the best in the world, I don't think you can play like that all the time in Test cricket. One day cricket, T20 cricket, maybe, but I don't think you can in Test cricket. So I think he's got to try and balance that. I think he's got to work on those technical things, and we've all got technical issues. There's no doubt about it, strengths and weaknesses. But yeah, time in the game helps, but that doesn't mean he can't have success at the highest level. I think, I haven't seen enough of Sam to justify what other people are saying. Like people that have seen a lot of him saying he's very talented, he's got all the shots. I've seen him make runs, bat discipline. I've seen him take on the bowlers. So the experts or the guys making these decisions, you're not just picking a kid because he's got talent. It's more than that. And I think that's why he's been selected. But going through the stuff off the field, the media speculation, the criticism, you're reading about it in the paper all the time.
It's a lot.
The media attention you get. So you got commitments with sponsors, you got commitments with fans. You then got to go and train to get better. Like it's a tough balance. So all of that plays a part. And I think that was also what Michael Hussey was saying. He was saying just to leave some of that behind for now and just focus on learning your game. You can do that at Sheffield Shield cricket. It's harder under the spotlight of playing for Australia. And that's what I say. I don't disagree with Huss. But I think if this kid's good enough, I don't want to see him wasted for 2 years playing Shield cricket.
Yeah.
If he's good
Shouldn't
enough,
be
then
sentenced to Shield cricket.
No.
But the positive news for him is that whatever happens this summer, whichever way they go, there's still probably another position available in the next 12 months because Aussie will probably retire.
Yeah.
So for such a long time, I think that Aussie lineup was so, locked in stone. It was so hard to break in. But all of a sudden now we have these opportunities where even if it's not his summer this summer, if Aussie retires and steps away in the next 12 months, there's another opening spot available.
Yep.
So, we really have to be looking for 2 openers.
big transition coming in the next, I'll say 2 years, but really in the next 12 months for Australian cricket. You look through the team now, you've got Khawaja, Smith,
Lyon.
I'll say
Cummins.
Alex Carey, even though Alex, you got lots of time still in regards to age, but Alex, then you got Lyon, Cummins, Stark, Hazlewood. Like that's 7 players in the 11 that I don't know. I can't see them playing the next Ashes in Australia. So they're not sustaining a 4-year period. Yeah. Hopefully they decide to retire, and majority of them have earned the right to retire on their own terms. Yeah. But I hope that through them individually and Cricket Australia, there's some sort of planning so we don't lose 4 of those in one go. Particularly when you look at that bowling attack we've had for such a long period of time, those 4 bowlers, 3 quicks and lino, you don't want to lose them in one go. So what are we doing in preparation for Australian cricket moving forward? We're seeing injuries with some of our fast bowlers at the moment. If we lose, let's say Paddy Cummins misses the first couple of test matches, we've got an amazing man to fill that role in Scott Boland. But if one of those 3 goes down, I don't think there's a clear standout who Australia is going to pick. I think they're trying to work that out. So same thing, if Smitty gets injured and misses 2 test matches, how do you replace that experience? Who comes into that number 4 position? So that's why I think at the moment the key for just about everyone is to perform at Shield cricket, put performances on the board and try and put your name up in lights to the selectors. Show them that, if the second best dude's averaging 45 in Shield cricket, I want to be averaging 55. I want it to be a no-brainer that you have to pick me. And at the moment, the one person that has done that is Marnus.
Yes.
So selectors can't ignore that. I heard Andrew McDonald say sometimes it's not just about the runs, it's about how you're making them. I don't disagree with that. But at the end of the day, and then somebody said, I think somebody criticised and said, he's making runs at Allan Border Field. Mate, Marnus doesn't pick where he bats. Like if the game was in Fiji, he'd bat in Fiji. All you can do is make runs. And nobody cannot notice what Marnus has done to date in regards to trying to fight his way back in this Australian team. If the test match is picked today,
who are you choosing?
He's in. He's I don't care if it's opening or number 3. Marnus is in the starting 11 if the test match is played today. He's earned that right. He's fought his way back into that team because at the moment there's 1 spot available. Assuming Cameron Green's fully fit and they decide to keep him at 3. Assuming Bo Webster's fully fit and they decide to keep him at 6. There's still 1 spot available, and that's number 2 beside Usman Khawaja. Marnus has earned that spot. If there's only 1 spot available, Marnus has earned it if you're selecting today.
And he might have been batting at Allan Border Field, but he was playing the reigning Shield champions in South Australia who've got some brilliant bowlers. Brendan Doggett along them, who's also in the frame as a potential replacement, I think, in the squad for the Ashes as well. So, quality bowling attack. You've still got to make the runs.
You make runs, I don't care who it's against. You don't, like you say, you don't pick the team you're playing against on the ground you're playing on. You just go and score runs as a batsman. So, no, I think, but again, the team for the first test doesn't need to be picked today. So that's the other thing. Marnus needs to make sure next game I start on 0. I got to make more runs. That's the hunger you need to have to fight your way back into that team. And that's what gives someone like Sam Konstas still an opportunity. If he plays the next 2 games, he goes 100-100, I still think there's every chance they could pick him.
It's kind of exciting that for the first time in quite a while I can remember, it actually feels like we've got an old-fashioned slog out to see who makes the side. And I think it's really exciting. And as someone who's been a partner of a player was trying to get into Australian side for a long time after he'd been out of it and in and out, to actually know that your performances truly mean something, and no matter what, there is a potential opportunity for you to force your way into that side. It must be really buoying for all the players.
Well, but I hope that is the case here, and that's what I'm saying. If the team was picked today and the selectors went, no, we're not going to pick Marnus, we're going to pick Sam, I think that would look very silly. So I would like to think that the respect is given to first-class cricket. That's what we got it for. Yeah. If you can't put numbers on the board as a first-class player to push your way into the Australian team, where else do you push for selection? Like, then it is just picked on favourites. You just pick your favourite or pick who you think. But no, runs on the board, wickets on the board, it all plays a part, and it should. And I'd like to think our first-class system is still as good as it's ever been. So it's good, tough, competitive cricket in preparation for achieving your dream and playing at the highest level. So, yeah, it's good. It's good that we're
Ashes
all looking
are on the
at
line,
it.
man.
Yeah.
We're not here to stuff around.
Exactly right. It's not a trial run, that's for sure.
No, it's not a trial one. It's all to play for. And, you know, we have been talking about Ashes cricket. Of course, we're going to get distracted by that, given that's coming this summer. But we are in the middle of this ODI series, Aussie, India. Just to come back to that for a few more moments. The second one takes place in Adelaide. It's a day-night, starting at 2:30 p.m. our time. What changes for you? I feel like, obviously, this first ODI was not really much to go on in terms of performance. It was so stop-start with all, you know, the DLS ended up kind of being a bona fide T20 match. But, you know, thoughts and feelings ahead of the second matchup?
Conditions will be different in Adelaide again to what they were in Perth. I think Australia are going to give some players an opportunity in regards to the squad they've picked. Like I say, I think they've picked a few young players to see how they go. So you might see some changes or a change from the Australian team.
I think Zamps is available
and
again.
Zampa's back in that 11.
Just tough for Cooney because Cooney bowled really well.
But that's what I say.
cricket.
Unfortunately, if there's not a spot available, you can't play. And when you get a one-off game or you get an opportunity, you try and make the most of it. So, yeah, I think. But the changes from the Australians team won't be based on form. They played as well as they could with what they had in front of them. So it'll more be give guys an opportunity. India, I reckon they've got to look at their. Again, they're not going to change their top order batting. Like Australia got their three big fish out for not many runs. You don't expect those three to fail too many times.
No.
So I'd imagine, you know, they'll stick pretty solid. They might make it one change to the bowling. They have three all-rounders. They might make a change there. But I don't know. India's always liked those all-rounders in their short form T20 cricket, one-day cricket, guys that can, you know, make you some handy runs at the bottom and you know you're going to get those overs out of them. So I think sea conditions first. Virat Kohli's record is phenomenal in any format at the Adelaide Oval. So I wouldn't be surprised if Virat walks out and gets 100 in the second game. There you go.
There you go.
So there's my leading run scorer, Virat Kohli for the game. Again, will the Aussies stick with Stark and Hazlewood, or will they rest one of them for Adelaide? They could do that. The other thing as well that people don't think too much about, it's still decent travel time. Like I think the third game's in Sydney as well. So they could think with someone like Stark and Hazlewood, you know what, you played Perth, 5 hours back to Sydney, you stay in Sydney and play the third game, we won't bother taking you to Adelaide.
It's only 2 days later on the Saturday.
That's what I'm saying.
Together,
so I reckon the selectors will be thinking, look after the body, it's still travel.
Fast bowling backs are no mean business.
You can't afford. Stark and Hazlewood, I'm happy they're playing. I think it's good for them to get that bowling workload in a game. But with Paddy Cummins being out, we can't afford one of those two to miss out in the first test. So they will be babysat. So I can't imagine both of those will play in Adelaide as well. So I'll say Virat Kohli leading run scorer. I'm going to say India's going to win the second game, only because I said 2-1 to Australia. So I want Sydney to be 1-1. So I'll say India will win the game, and I'll say leading wicket taker for Adelaide. Zampa's back in. I might go Zampa for leading wicket taker. Even though India, I think India they have to turn things around, make or break for them. So I'm going to say India to win. 1-1 comes Sydney.
Oh, there you go. Predictions thrown down the gauntlet by Michael Clarke there. Thank you so much for your wonderful insights, as always. We unfortunately don't have any more time, but that's why you need to come and join us for the live shows, because we're going to chat for hours, unfiltered, about all things summer of cricket. Those tickets are available, of course, at the moment. Jump online and join the conversation as well. You can watch us on YouTube in this beautiful studio that we have here. That is at BEYOND23 Cricket Pod on Instagram as well. So get involved, send us lots of comments. We'll filter those into our episodes as we go later on down the track. We love hearing what you love, what you don't love so much. And we look forward to seeing what happens in the second ODI. We'll be back for another episode in just a few days' time. This has been Beyond 23, another episode. This was an I Wanted Yesterday production, and this episode was produced by Nicholas Szczebinski. Michael Clarke, any final thoughts?
Bring on game 2.
Woo!
Let's
Sounds
see
good,
what
guys.
happens.
We'll see you soon.